it's the freeway, slanging my, banging my, swinging my coupe. DeVille, scoop, DeVille, like that.
Welcome to our Wednesday night in depth. Here we are. It's just me and Miss Jill this evening, but we have a conversation that we really are going to look deep into. And it's entrepreneurship. And last night, Miss Jill, we watched a video of a young man, and he was talking about how we as a community, and he said the Black community, we are dependent on or afraid to leave that job because we got bills to pay, we got this, that, or the other. So he was making it seem like we didn't have any alternatives, or that we were slaves to, or we didn't know how to get out of that. But there's many ways that we can get out of that. And Eric is not here, but I do want to agree with one thing Eric said. But you also got to understand to what level we can go to at the time he was speaking. He spoke about prior to integration. Before desegregation, how many communities strived because they were self-sufficient and independent of their own.
Right.
Because we had everything. We had everything and we depended on everything. So we did it. But after integration, a lot of times we got away from the entrepreneurship. But I think entrepreneurship is important in every community.
Yeah.
And especially if we can get back to it much more in our community. And you said you had something about the importance of entrepreneurship?
So, basically, I was kind of going with what you were saying. It's important in all communities, but as I was doing some research, I think it's especially important in the Black community. And, I found some interesting numbers. The one that I'll just throw out that I thought was really cool was most of the African-American entrepreneurs are women. There is a higher percentage of women entrepreneurs of the Black race than any other race. And it was starting to list, like reasons why. And that's a whole different show, but it really kind of shows you what you see, what women, especially Black women, are doing in their careers and their businesses is quite amazing. We talk about the alpha, the woman being too independent, blah, 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 but the women are on fire as far as coming up with their businesses.
Yeah. Now, entrepreneurship is a large word, but if we broke it down simply, and I'm not going to give you the Webster, I'm going to give you the layman's definition. All it is it's the ability to be a business person for yourself and not being able to work for others. Now, I think at a time we lost the entrepreneurship goal is when factories came about and they were more prevalent. And they were guaranteed jobs. They were jobs that, you can go into every day and you'll end up with, at the time, a pension. They don't have those pensions anymore and things like that. But at the time, it was a guaranteed job. And the mentality came, you don't have to stress about where a paycheck is coming from. You can just go in and you can go in and make this money here or there. And I think that has stifled a lot of entrepreneurship, or the love or the thought of entrepreneurship, because like I say, boom, I can go in GM. It was Chrysler. It was BF Goodrich. It was International Harvester. It was all of
them. Phelps Dodge, Raytheon. Tons.
Tons. And guaranteed checks. But here's where entrepreneurship is needed in every facet in every community. Now, first and foremost, what we need a financial base in our community. We need a financial base in our community where we can be able to invest in our community. Too many times we don't get things in our community because we don't have the capital in our community to invest in the things that we need in our community. So think about if we started businesses and things like that, and we had that base, we would have that power to be able to bring things into our community to make things happen. But the downside in our community, and it's been I think it's a stigma. I think it's partially true, but I'm not going to say it's an absolute truth, is that we do have a problem sometimes with the support, of the businesses. But that shouldn't stop us from stepping out, and being entrepreneurs, because, working for yourself is fun. I tell you, because, and you can set your own rate, you can set your own pace, being in a business for myself and being a person that does do this, it's times that I'm like, man, if I don't want to work, I don't have to
Right,
work. But
right.
but I can also work a lot and take time off. You got jobs where you got to put in for vacation. You
Yeah.
got to look at this. But then there's some jobs where you are beating the bush all the time, trying to get that dollar because you're doing it for yourself.
But let's go, because I know that you personally, are an entrepreneur.
Yes.
So you're talking about right now, it's nice to, if I don't want to go to work, blah, blah. You're talking about the stuff that the ideas, the ideologies that you've acquired over this time from when you decided you wanted to be an entrepreneur. But this is all of the stuff here we did not see. Talk a little bit about, because one of the number one reasons that people do not pursue entrepreneurship after money is knowledge, not having the education and the knowledge. So tell us about the parts of entrepreneurship that are not so pretty that you do not see while you're building.
Well, that is actually a great question and comment. And I would tell you, first of all, the reason knowledge, see, we all think that or many of us think that we need some kind of super skills to start
Yep.
a business. You do have to have a knowledge base. I'm not saying you have to be absolutely knowledgeable about what you do, but you have to have a knowledge base. First of all, if you have something that you first love that you can do, or something that you can do proficiently very well, it's a natural gift for you.
Yeah.
You can always turn those into some kind of business or some kind of entrepreneurship. Mine is music. And first of all, I'm going to be honest. I'm not a skilled musician. I praise and thank whoever came up with the ability to make computer music. I thank them because that saved me. But it was the love and it was the things that you had to learn. Like you say, you had to learn. First of all, going into business, you have an idea of what you want.
Yeah.
You have an idea.
Like a plan.
And a lot of times it does not start out as a business plan. Like take it, I'm going to go for cooking. And say like you're a good cook and you know how to cook. So first of all, you might have a friend come to you and say, I'm having this gathering.
Yep.
Can you cook us a little something? You say, yeah, I can do that. How much you charge? Pay me whatever you want. We'll just do this, so you get the idea. So you do it. So then whoever that friend or that person you did it for, they go and tell another person, well, who did your food? Oh, so-and-so
Right.
did
It was
this food for
good.
me. It was good. Can I get their information? So you give them their information and it goes from there. So that's a quick and easy way, you
Right.
know. Now, do you know a lot about cooking? Do you know about running a cooking business? No, you probably know a lot about, and I'm not going to say you know recipes. You just know how to cook.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say you know how to format, meals, or you just know how to cook. But as the evolution comes, now when you do your first one, it was easy. You do your second one, it's easy. Now when those third, fourth, fifth, sixth ones get in there, then it starts to be, okay, I need this, I need this, I need this, I need this. So it's an evolution that should take place. Now the hard part is the days and nights where you have to sit and plan and think, and sometimes there's nobody there that's able to help you, figure out some things. And then there's sometimes where you are more invested than you are in return. But and I think that's what scares people a lot.
Yeah.
They don't want to have that. And I don't think it's as much as the money, as much as having that failure on you or that reputation. But think about it. If you just started cooking in your house, but then you grew to a restaurant and you put it in your community, then that's a business in your community.
Yeah.
I don't see it much anymore, but we were taught entrepreneurship as children by two things, 2 seasons. You learned entrepreneurship. Well, 3. You learn how to rake leaves, you learn how to cut grass, and you learn how to shovel snow.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And those were the foundations of, where you can learn to work for yourself and you can set your price. You can do that. A lot of people started like that. They have lawn services now, so things like that. So it all depends on where you are and what you're good at.
And you talk about one of the first things you said when we were talking about knowledge is you said you have to have a knowledge base. Where does a knowledge base come from? Let's say you don't have somebody who is supportive in your life. And let's say the reason you want to be an entrepreneur is because you don't want to be like the people you grew up around, just to be real.
Right.
So They didn't talk to you about anything with your future. You just decided this is what you want to do. Where does that knowledge base come from? Where did yours come from?
Mine came from legitimately just the love of what I did, and I studied, and I learned what I wanted to know. Now, if you don't have examples and everything, and that's the first thing. Some of us are gifted, and if you have a gift, the Bible says your gift will make room for you. That means that whatever talent, whatever skill you have, you can put that to use, and it can feed you. So your knowledge base is first off, like I say, cutting grass. And I was talking about cooking, cutting grass. Cutting grass is a simple task for most people. So what you need? You need a lawnmower and you need some gas. That's your knowledge base.
Yep.
So what do you do? You know your neighbors. And if you start out, I think most people, and I was never able to cut grass, all my friends, because I had bad allergies, but my friends used to make money cutting grass, $15, $20 a yard. And we were like in the third, fourth, and fifth grade. I mean, we thinking that's money, $20 a yard. So you knew what you could do. So you practice, you practice what you do. That's how you get your knowledge base. And that's why I say cooking and cutting grass. Cooking, you're in your kitchen, you're developing something, you learn how to cook. You learn how to cook from your mother.
Yeah.
You learn how to cook from your father. They teach you maybe recipes or things like that. So you get the general knowledge. But when I say the knowledge base of business, you got to learn how to format that. So if I need to feed 300 people, I need to know it's going to cost this much or I need this ingredients, I need this. So that's what I say, the knowledge base, you have to know how to make sure that your product is a finished product or a finished service. You got to know how to get that service done.
Right. And you mentioned the paycheck that a lot of people, I know for a fact that if I go to work every day, I'm going to get a check every week. I know that is fact. I know if I were to start a business with something that I am passionate about, that for who knows how long, that guaranteed check is not going to be there. And I remember when I was younger, and both of my parents, my dad actually retired from Phelps Dodge. And then when we moved to the lake, my parents started buying, the first thing they bought was a gas station. And I was younger, and I heard them talking one night, and they ran it together. And I heard my mom say, well, we're not able to cut ourselves a paycheck yet. And I was young, and I walked out because they worked all the time. And I'm like, what do you mean? You don't get paid? And she was like, no, we're just building. So at the beginning, it makes sense now, but sometimes the sacrifice, and that is what people do not see.
Right.
That sacrifice right there is, not getting paid. So the knowledge base, not just in what you want to do or how to get what you need, but how am I going to deal with, how long it takes me to grow a business.
Right.
We don't see all of that stuff. That is hard. And if you can't sacrifice it, I mean, we know, all of us here together know what sacrifice is when you're building something.
Right. And that's a key thing. Sacrifice could be time or money. But I do think that people don't, first thing you got to do is be patient and be able to build it, because most businesses they have a hard time in their first 5 to 7 years. That's a hard time to struggle, and people don't want that. But if you hold out in that 5 to 7 years, it'll flip. Now, and you were talking about knowing what you have to do. Yes, I mean your equipment and things like, yeah, especially when you're buying equipment and music equipment, it's not cheap.
Yes,
and you have to buy, so you have to figure out and budget, and that's one thing, But the problem is, and we're getting better in our community. And Ramadan was saying that the Black Chambers, their business and they help businesses build, is where a lot of us don't count up the actual costs or anything, but we need to learn more how to, if we're going to be a cook, if we're going to be a lawn service, if we're going to be a snow removal service, if we're going to be a clothing store, we have to learn, okay, how do we go about making sure the business is ran properly?
right.
But also, I think it actually, we need to encourage our young people. And I understand now there's more entrepreneurs, and I'm using this as a loose term because it's one of the things that you're piggybacking off something else. These young social media celebrities. I mean, everybody's trying to get their child viral and,
Yep.
this, that, or the
Yep.
other. It's great now, but to be able to also cultivate, them into a stable, and I'm not saying it's stable, but, who knows how long, what's going to be the next thing when the social media
Yep.
falls off. But there's many young entrepreneurs, I mean, and they're making great money,
Absolutely.
so we as a community need to stop stifling our young people's creativity, dreams, and
Yep.
things like that. Encourage them that whatever you are doing, you can do it to make it. And I don't know who said this, and I've heard this adage many times, that if you find out and do what you love, you'll never work, because it's not work to you when you find out.
Exactly.
But if we can get not only our young people, we can get our mindset that we can do it. We can do it. And this is what we need in our community. And these are what makes communities thrive. We need a bank. We need a bank. So we need to be able to understand, somebody, if we had either pull our money together, somebody would, we need some entrepreneurs that, are financially putting banks together. We need grocery stores. We need hospitals. These are things that we can start. Doctors, if all the black doctors in Fort Wayne got together and decided we're going to put the hospital, they're entrepreneurs, but we're going to put a hospital together. These are what I'm saying. They're beneficial to the community because they're building and they're investing in the community. The community is growing, and we have that tax base, we have that financial base, we have all of that. So when we want to go, we want something put on our side of town, we can say, hey, we got the investors that are going to put this on this side of town.
Right.
So that's why I say entrepreneurship in our community is well needed, because it'll give us financial power, political power, whatever we need.
Right, right. And we talk a lot about generational wealth, and you see often, not always, but when, the parents have a business, then, sometimes the kids end up getting into the business, and maybe they'll do the same thing or whatever. So that knowledge base and the generational wealth as well. But you brought up something. I want to go to this real quick. It was a Harvard study where they interviewed 1,000 teenagers aged 13 to 17 about being a business owner. 60% of the teens out of the 1,000 said that they would rather start their own business instead of work a regular job, stating their number one inspiration for wanting to do this is social media influencers. So that, and I think that is huge, because when we talk about knowledge base, there's such thing too as being fed what you're told is knowledge, and it's not. Those people, like we were saying, are making a lot of money, but it is not common. It is not.
That's right.
It is not realistic. Don't you think I would be doing it as funny as I am? I could be a whole comedian. Don't you think I would have already done that? But it's not as simple.
Yeah.
But they make it look simple. So that is why they said they wanted to be entrepreneurs.
Right. And that's why I used the term loosely when I was talking about, and again, even the social media people, you don't understand how many hours you have to put. And that's another thing is people don't understand the hours and the time. To go viral, you might have been on social media for 10, 15 years before you really, and then there's some that luck out. But then there's some that, in the percentage of people that's online versus the people that are making money online.
Absolutely.
The percentage is actually low. But again, there's simple things that you can do in your community. There was a young lady on Putnam, I believe.
Yeah, the lemonade.
Yeah.
Oh,
this young lady decided, and that's first of all, it takes is an idea and a reason. This young lady decided, and I believe the article was that she wanted to buy her own school clothes or whatever. So she set up a lemonade stand, and I'm congratulating the community for supporting her. But see, that's what it takes. It takes an idea. It takes a love. It takes a movement, to be able to get that done. It really does not take a lot. And that's where a lot of people think, oh, it takes a lot of capital. I need a lot of money to get started. It depends on what particular business you're starting. It doesn't take a lot of money. It really doesn't. My first business, and I had a studio, and I remember this. I had a portable studio, me and a partner of mine. I had a suitcase with my interface, my headphones, my mic stand, but I could go to people and I could, and make it. So I had to
Yeah.
make it until I got to a building. So that's what I'm saying. You have to start somewhere. And it was an idea. And it was just like, he was like, we need a studio. I was like, okay, let's build one. He was like, we can't build a building now. It's like, but we can build a studio. And that's what I'm saying. You have to have the desire, and it just takes a little bit. But I think we as a community have been programmed or conditioned that we can't do it, or we
Yeah.
have to depend, like I say, we get the fear of non-support. But if
Yeah.
you give a great service, if you do what you're supposed to do, you be consistent. And this is one thing. This is one thing. And if you say you're going to open at 8 every day, open at 8 every day. Be consistent in what you're doing. If you're gonna, if you're gonna have the product, restaurants, if you're gonna have food, I understand sometimes you run short, but always have enough. Make sure you have enough. Make sure you are able to do that.
Right, right.
And, so make sure your customer service is together.
Yep. If you want top-notch customers,
yeah.
you have to have top-notch
Yeah.
customer service.
So these are things that you have to take, but we need these in our community. I'm not discouraging anybody. What I'm telling you is when you get out there, make sure you're doing the best that you can.
Also, you brought up something about the funding and things like that. And just recently, I came to know that there are programs right here within the city that actually do, I don't want to say promote entrepreneurship, but I'm not sure what the word is. Anyways.
They help seed them.
Yes. So the building I work in is seed from the city. And like Ramadan said last night with the chamber, there are organizations, if you don't have that support or your full knowledge base, if you have questions about finance, there's even grants, startup grants that can help you, specifically if you are building in a, specific part of a community in Fort Wayne. So there are a lot of resources if money is the thing that, is holding you back. Plus they educate you. And speaking of educating, I do have a flyer here that was sent in. And this is Our Neutral Voices and Bright Points, a financial building seminar with main speaker Mindy Krupp. First session will be a financial overview, building your financial foundation, Saturday, July 22nd. Is that next?
That's two Saturday, not this Saturday, but the next Saturday.
Saturday, July 22nd at 7 p.m. Where? The Summit Community Center on Rudisill. You can look that location up. So basically, this is a 4-session starting July 22nd with the overview. August 19th is banking. September 16th is budgeting. October 21st is credit. So to pre-register, I'm gonna drop this real quick. Pre-register by calling or texting 260-348-5785 or info at the @ Our Neutral Voices, all one word, ourneutralvoices.org. The financial pillar. So there are resources out there. Sometimes you have to, seek them out, but that's important to remember, whether you're lacking support or just lacking information.
Yeah, and I think I commend the Black Chamber and the job that Ramana is doing, and the CDC that's in a building where you
The seed. Mm-hmm.
yeah, the seed.
Yep.
Now, see, that's what we need, and I think too many times also why we lack entrepreneurship, and you mentioned this earlier about generational wealth, but too many times we don't like to share our knowledge, and things go. They go to when we go, they go. Recipes, things like that.
Yeah.
We don't like to share our knowledge. But here's the thing too, and I've noticed this in a lot of times. I've seen businesses close because the children or the grandchildren don't want to carry it on.
Yeah, a lot.
It's a lot, and it's really sad. It's actually a restaurant here in town that it's not it's not a Black restaurant, but a lot of the grandchildren now they're closing because a lot of the grandchildren you don't want to carry on, that responsibility, and it's just it's baffling for me. I tell people honestly, and I've said this before, my father could have had a toilet scrubbing business, and if I didn't have to work and I can make my own schedule and I can continue that on and be able to be successful, every toilet that I service would be the cleanest toilet that ever happened, because you just got to have that love, that drive to
Right.
make it happen.
Right.
In our community, and I'm gonna commend our neutral voices. And I ask everybody to please, if you can, if you will, if you want to start a business, if you need to know about business, even if it's not just about business, you want to learn something financially, credit wise, please attend some of these seminars because we are trying to get this information out and get the community to understand, because there's got to be a change that's going to come. And again, the only way we can change things in our community is if we work in our community and we do the things in our community. And the conversation last night we had with Ramadan, and that's why we say if we have our own investors, we have our own capital, we have our own movement in our section of town, in our community, if we say this want to happen, this will happen. And if we have enough money and we say we don't want that, we can bring something else that can counter that. But we need ours to be able to counter it. We can't fight something when we don't have anything.
Right. And what these programs and seminars and things like that do also is, if someone asks, or if somebody says, XYZ, this is why I'm not going to venture into my dream, those are barriers. So these programs remove those barriers. Let us help you with funding. So there goes that. Let us help you with the information that you need on getting this together. So there goes that. So as these barriers are being removed, we, as a people, at any color, any community, are more apt to, venture into something like that. Otherwise, it is just an excuse. But that is exactly what these programs, the chamber, the seed, they're breaking down barriers to make it easier for you to proceed.
Yeah. And I would encourage anybody, if you have an idea, the young lady we had with the glasses, help me with her name. Is it A&J?
Yeah. Amber.
Amber.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had her on here,
Yes.
and she told a story how she went on, and she learned from somebody else, and she took what she learned and went. And that's some of the things we need to do. If you are working for somebody and you learn something, apprenticeship, if you get that knowledge, branch off. You can do your own. I mean, we don't have any more dry cleaners in our community. No, I'm gonna stand corrected. I know we still have one, and I think it's Friendly Cleaners down on Buchanan. It's not Buchanan. It's on Hannah. But Friendly Cleaners, but we need dry cleaners. We need our own laundromats. We need our own laundromats. We need our own drug stores. We need our own shoe stores. We need our own. We got His House in clothing apparel. We got TGFM Mobile. They have phone service. Now, these are things that we have in our community, that is in our community, but we also need more of our support for these businesses to keep them in our community. But we need grocery stores, not the one they're building on Pontiac. We need a grocery store where we can do where we can control it and do. We need these things in our community because we need these funds in our community, and we can start spending in our community. Our dollar can stay in our community, and it can continue to rotate in our community. Young, old, male, female. I don't care. If you have a dream, if you have an idea, if you have a thought, if you have a want, whatever you want to do, if you're a good cook in a house, practice on your cooking, open a restaurant.
Right.
If you can cut grass, practice on your skills, start a lawn service, snow removal, raking leaves, whatever it is, painting houses, drywall, contractors, whatever it is, we need these in our community.
Right.
They're building a housing community over here off of Hezen Castle. Now, I don't know. I know the guy behind it is Starks, but I don't know who's building. But think if we had a black contracting company building all those houses.
Yeah, and that's just who you would call. Yeah, that's just who you would call.
So this is the things that I say. And if we had that capital, if we had that money to move in our community, we could do better things in our community, and we wouldn't need anybody else. We want to thank you for joining us tonight. Hopefully, we encourage somebody that had the thought out there that I've opened my own business. And we're going to shout out Dr. V, who's been an entrepreneur in our community for almost 30 years and doing it still. She said she's going to stay on the south side of town. We're going to shout out Dr. V. But if you have a dream, if you have a want, if you have a desire to do what you want, get out and do it. Don't let anything stop you. There's programs, as Jill has given you the programs. We'll put it on our website. We'll put this seminar on our website. You can get out there and do it. Just get out. Stop being afraid. Don't let fear hold you back. The only thing that beats failure is a try. You
I agree.
just have to try.
I agree.
And you have to believe. But we want to thank you. And as Jill, since E's not here, before we leave the people, what do we always say?
Well, E always says to always protect your mind. But I'm going to go a little bit further and say that if you are working for another person, you're probably working at least 8-12 hours a day, being paid not nearly enough for what your true passion is, to build a dream for someone else. Take half of that time when you get home and spend it trying to design a plan to work for yourself, because you're doing the work anyway. So always protect your mind. There you go.
All right. We thank you again and have a good night.
Chase 405 is the freeway, slinging my, banging my, swinging my coupe. DeVille, scoop.